Yes, she is. Welcome to Comics Like Dark. I'm Jared, and I'm here with Robert. What's up, brother?
Hey, not too bad, not too bad.
So today, this was quite a week.
Yep.
Oh boy. And what's up, Cameron? So today we are going to be talking about the return of Frank Castle as the Punisher.
Who didn't see that coming?
Well, I know. It's not like we were calling it the minute he showed up in Daredevil Born Again. The travesty that was Tom King's Wonder Woman issue 21.
Yeah.
Let's see who. Well, oh yeah.
I just threw a suggestion.
Yeah, I got it, and that works. Obscure comics that we think should have lasted longer. And you know what? I'll add one more right now. Our favorite Punisher comics. Let's go with that.
I say we get the Punisher stuff out of the way first.
Which one?
Let's go first with the good news. Frank is back.
All right, let's do this.
Cameron, since you didn't know, since Jason Aaron decided to totally railroad him.
That was the story that swore me off of Jason Aaron's Marvel work. I'd already read Thor and stuff, so I was beyond that.
But it's funny though, he did a good Punisher and Punisher Max.
I know. All right, so Robert, recount what Jason Aaron did to Frank.
First, Frank
real quick, before you do that, the reasoning behind what we're about to say is that some people that Marvel didn't like politically used the Punisher skull, so they wanted to distance themselves.
It had been a building problem. Let's be honest. It had been a building problem. Let's be honest on that one.
All right, so now go.
But yeah, basically, Frank is joined up with the Hand, changing his logo to be more demonic. Why? They want him to be a champion or something for them. And they actually bring back his wife and offer to bring back his kids. A lot of stuff happens throughout it all. And then by the end of it, his wife says, I hate you. I wanted a divorce, flipping what Aaron had done in the Punisher Max book. And then says, I have control of all of your money. I am giving it all away. All of your guns are gone. And then what did Frank do? He sent himself to another dimension because he just has no will to live anymore.
Yeah.
That's basically 12 issues of nothing that amounted to that.
Yeah, exactly. So for the longest time,
and then Marvel replaced him with a watered down SHIELD agent,
who's literally the exact same origin as Frank, pretty much.
Except he's not a cop.
Except he's not a cop.
Because it's not propaganda.
Well, Frank was not a cop in the comics, right?
Yes, he was.
He was?
He was always a cop.
Oh, okay.
Always. He was always a cop in the comics whose family was gunned down while he was working. While he was with them. And yeah, they came after him because he wouldn't go dirty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I just love where they're like, okay, so let's replace Frank Castle. Who are we going to replace him with? Frank Castle Light.
Yep.
You know what's even stupider, Robert? On Garrison, that's the dude's name. His logo was pretty much the Punisher, the regular Punisher logo. So like, what's the point of replacing Frank then?
Exactly. Although it did change a little, but yeah, they just wanted to take it back from the that cannot be
his name is Garrison. That is correct.
Yep, that is his name.
And so we just found out literally today, like it just got announced that, and by the way, I called this the minute that the Punisher was going to show up in Daredevil Born Again, and it's going to be Frank. I'm like, okay, the comics are going to want to synergize with the movies and shows. And honestly, this is one of the good occasions of synergy actually working.
Just like reverting She-Hulk back to being the hot babe and not the me dumb. Me love being dumb.
Also a dumb Jason Aaron decision. I'm detecting a common theme here.
That one was his own choice. The other one was something that was more assigned to him, and he took it up on it. So there is a difference.
He also made it out like growing up, Frank was like a psychopath, and I'm like, no,
Frank was not a psychopath.
That's part of the story. It's like one thing makes him go in that direction, but he was never a psychopath growing up. But anyway.
Exactly.
I'm gonna read the description of this. By the way, it's part of it's a Red Band comic. So I love
and it's Benjamin Percy, he's a manly man. I have to say, he is a manly man.
He's jacked and all stuff. Yeah. He goes.
Have you heard it? Have you heard the man talk? He talks with this big, deep voice.
So, with no memories, a full clip. Not correct. It's supposed to be full magazine, but anyway. And a thirst for wrathful vengeance, his violent search for answers could only be chronicled in a red band serial as a series. Bullets will fly, blood will flow. I love how if there's one character that is built for the red band comics, well, there's two: Wolverine and Punisher.
And Blade.
And Blade. Those three, yeah. And they said, wait, hold up. Frank joining the Hand makes as much sense as Cap joining Hydra.
It was dumb. It was so dumb.
It's worse. Remember when Frank was siding with Hydra because Cap had his family back? And I go, that's not a Frank thing. Plus,
no, it's not. And there was a story where there was a story where he was offered to bring his family back. And what did he do? He gunned them down.
Here's the thing, Robert, also. Frank hates Nazis. What's Hydra?
Nazis.
Exactly. So I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm like, bro. But anyway, it's like, so you have that. And here's the thing. And when I had Mike Barron on the show recently, he said the thing about the Punisher is that Marvel tries to put him in more of the cosmic stuff, like when they made him like say Cosmic Ghost Rider and all that stuff. He really works best when you only make him do street level stuff instead of fighting gods.
Now I will say I did like Rucka's ending of his story with Warzone, where Cap decides we need to bring him down.
Mm-hmm.
I did like that story, but you can only tell that once.
Yeah, exactly. Now here's the thing. It's not to say there aren't cool stories that go against that. But you know what? I just got a great idea. I would love to do a Punisher miniseries where he gets the symbiote.
That's been done actually. There's a what if.
No, I mean in the main continuity.
By the way, did you know? Funny enough, given what we talked about yesterday, did you know Frank went through his own death and return story
where he was Frankenstein?
Suicide Run, where he was replaced by 4 others.
All right, hang on. But yeah, it's really cool.
It was a suicide
run. Speaking of Secret Invasion. I meant to say Secret Empire. Screw you, Marvel, for naming everything secret. What's up, JJheat?
Flame on. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good. So we're talking about Frank Castle returning as the Punisher.
Already?
Yep, he's back. I know already. Well, here's the thing. Garrison didn't have any legs to stand on. So I'm like...
He never went beyond that 4 issues.
Yeah, and no one liked him. Everyone rejected him.
Everyone did. It bombed.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, of course. Let me put it this way: if you find the character problematic, don't use him in anything. That's it. But JJheat, what do you think of Frank reclaiming his mantle?
I'm not really surprised because at the end of the day, this is still a business. But I'm surprised they let it drag on for as long as it did because Frank was shelved for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let me put it this way, JJheat. You know they were gonna do it the minute we saw the Punisher and Daredevil Born Again. By the way, pretty dope portrayal of the Punisher. I love it when here's the cool part about Born Again. It's really rated R if it was rated a movie, and that works well for Punisher. I'm like, you can't do a PG-13 Punisher. You just can't.
No, you can't.
I feel like the technical term is PG as a TV-17, something like that. PG or TV-17.
Yeah, but it's essentially that common concept. But yeah, essentially that. But
I was just telling everyone, JJheat, about. Did you know that Frank went through his own death and return where he had his 4 replacements?
Multiple times, in fact.
Yeah, Suicide Run. One of them was a woman.
Did we also have that?
And that was different. This was all done within one story arc, which actually didn't last that long. So it was just done for a brief story. But the fact that you actually also had a lady Punisher, which is probably the one people really enjoyed about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then you get... my favorite version of the Punisher is when he got the War Machine armor. That was dope. And
that was a good one.
I had the action figure for that. And I'm like, yeah.
I like Frankencastle.
Frankencastle's great. What's your favorite Punisher story, JHeat. And by the way, we're going to transition to that real quick.
Okay, favorite Punisher storylines. Definitely the one where he steals one of the Iron Man armors.
That was Remender's run, I think. Mm-hmm. Was that Remender or was that hold on.
Here you go, by the way. Get a load of this badass.
That was
there you go. Hey Robert.
Yeah. Nice. That was Matt Rosenberg. That was the Rosenberg run.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he had the road. That was it. That wasn't that long ago, actually.
No, it wasn't. But yeah, it you know why I like it? Because it's I like it when they do really unique things with the characters, because it's like giving Frank an Iron Man suit. It's one of those things that I'm surprised they didn't do it beforehand.
You know what I like about the Franken-Castle story, though? It gives an excuse to get past Frank's age. He gets rejuvenated at the end.
Okay, that works. I like that.
And I also say another favorite for mine would have to be Welcome Back, Frank, of course. That was the what's his name? Did the boys the writer of the boys, Garth Ennis.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Cameron's no, he was never Captain America. He just has a high respect for Cap.
No, he did after Civil War.
Oh,
for an arc.
Oh yeah, because
he tried and then realized, no, I can't.
That was one of the best parts of Civil War when Cap goes fight back, and then Frank goes, no, not against you.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, it made Cap look like an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Frank was Captain America for a brief arc, even going against the hate monger who is supposed to be a revived Hitler. That's Marvel lore. That's Marvel lore.
The hate monger, of course.
I mean, I'm sorry. This is one of the main reasons I fell off with Marvel. It's just not good.
Dude, that's a character that's been around since the Stan Lee days.
No, not Punisher. I mean, in terms of modern Marvel in general.
Yeah. Again, Rucka's run was interesting. I gotta say, there was a lot of mediocre Punisher runs.
Yeah, there are. I love the original Baron and the ones that were like drawn by Jim Lee, where he like fought Wolverine and stuff. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, that was the 90s where you had 3 different titles.
Peak Punisher was 90s and early 2000s. Peak Punisher.
Yeah, that's where you have Punisher, Punisher War Journal, and Punisher Warzone.
So I'm going to tell you a funny story. So my mom and my sister watched the Punisher movie with Thomas Jane. Didn't know it was a Marvel movie. The logo literally comes up on the screen. But in their defense, here's the thing about like the Punisher movie. It doesn't feel like a superhero. Like,
wait, which one are we talking about here?
Early 2000s Punisher movies like Blade and.
Okay. I was telling. Okay, which love that one. I thought that was actually a very good one. It followed the Garth Ennis one. I gotta say, Punisher Warzone wasn't bad.
I've only watched the Thomas Jane one and the show.
Okay, well, JHeat, have you ever seen the Punisher Warzone movie?
Yes, I have. It's not bad. It's aggressively mid.
It is.
But it's not bad.
It's not bad. I like Jigsaw in it.
My favorite scene in the Punisher TV show is where he bashes Jigsaw's head into a mirror, and it's like raking it on the mirror, and I'm like,
yep.
Oh.
Also, you do know there's the Dolph Lundgren movie.
I have to watch the other Punisher films because those just look really good. And what's up, Julian and NJ?
He doesn't have the logo. You know why? Some producer decided to just put it on the tip of his knife.
That's where they put the Punisher. I noticed in the marketing he doesn't have that. He's just wearing body armor, and I go,
yeah, what? Because it's on his knife for whatever reason they chose for that.
But it's scary.
Marvel didn't they redesign the logo since then? Like it's kind of like a demon aesthetic.
No, that was just for the arc.
That was Jason Aaron. Yeah, and Cameron says Marvel really took a chance and said, let's make Punisher marketable. Here's the thing. He kind of is if you do almost like a straight up crime story and he's just to do with guns.
Let's be fair, though. I do get to a degree where Marvel's going with when you have a lot of vigilantes and people who are pro, like, extreme copism using that as their logo. Even I have to admit, it's like, what do we do, kind of? So I get
then stop publishing the character. Just cancel the comic for a bit. You don't like.
Which they technically did. Technically, they did.
No, but don't even try and address it. Just cancel it. Don't have a Jason Aaron Punisher thing. Just move on with it. But,
Jared, I hate to cut you off, but you also got to look at this optics. Daredevil Born Again, the Marvel movies flopping. They really needed a win to close out this quarter.
Yep.
So I can understand bringing to Punisher, taking Frank off the shelf and pushing Punisher into prominence. I understand it from a business standpoint, but
what they did was good. I'm not saying it was good,
but they didn't put Punisher in the prominence. That they killed Frank and replaced him with a knockoff,
which they did. Yes.
And then Tavia asked, well, "What happens to the new Punisher? Who cares?
Who cares? He's probably going to no. Given how it goes." He's probably out there and someone's going to kill him off eventually.
It would be hilarious if Frank kills him. That would be great.
I don't think Frank would do that because that's not like he doesn't need. Here's the thing you have about Frank: he doesn't needlessly kill unless he has a good reason to do it.
All right, he'll killing joke him. He'll cripple him anyway.
Again, he needed
using my logo.
Frank would need a good reason.
Yeah, but it was a joke.
Right.
But yeah, so that was. I'm glad to see that Marvel is finally like fixing this one travesty that should never have happened.
They let their politics get the better of them. Can we say it for what it is?
It's like, especially Jason Aaron, like when it's one thing to say the character is like troublesome for us right now, but to make it so he was always like basically close to being a serial killer his whole life.
Why? Again. And again, he wrote a good story in Punisher Max.
Yeah, Aaron knows how to write Punisher. It's not like
I do get why he chose to do a reversal. Why he chose to do a reversal of instead of Frank wanting to get a divorce, he had to be his wife wanting to get a divorce. I kind of get it. He wanted to do a reversal. But go ahead, JJheat.
Even if you factor who wanted to leave who prior to the tragedy of Frank Castle's origin story, even if you want to argue semantics how the relationship was going to fall apart, don't try to make it like, oh, Frank is like Harvey Dent. He has a lot of darkness in him. He would have snapped regardless.
He has PTSD. Even as a kid, he was arguably killing people as a child.
No. I mean,
that's what Aaron said.
And again, say what you will. At least when it came to when he was working on Punisher Max, he was working on what Garth had given him with Punisher Born.
Mm-hmm.
He was working with what he was already given, which is so it's like you can't really blame him for that.
No, I get that, but still with this. But Tammy says, I'm also curious what happens with Frank Castle's wife, considering she's still out there at the end of the run.
That is a good. Yeah, it's Mephisto.
It was Mephisto all along.
You think it was Mephisto wanting to mess with marriages?
Watch, how great would it be if like someone like completely like kneecaps it like Donny Cates and Thor? That would be hilarious. That would
if anyone who could do it, it's Benjamin Percy.
Yeah, and this is a series, particularly because it's like Red Band, because you know it's gonna be bloody as hell. This is a series I'm putting on my pull list because I've wanted to put Punisher on there, but his comics have sucked since he left.
By the way, I gotta say, look at what Benjamin Percy's track record is. X-Force, Wolverine, and Ghost Rider.
Didn't he also do Teen Titans Rebirth, the first 16 issues?
Wait. Didn't he also do Predator, Wolverine?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying it now.
And Black Panther. And Spider-Man, and soon Predator kills the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying his stuff. Yeah.
And again, this guy's a manly man.
He gets bloody characters. I'm so down for this. Now that I knew that name was familiar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just realized Marvel's going to turn her into a villain, aren't they?
No.
They'll turn her into the next Jigsaw.
Is Jigsaw still alive, or how many times have they killed that guy off?
No, but Robert,
you sure we're not expecting a Paul's reckoning? By
the way, I showed to point out he's also been the
roll the clip.
Hang on, JJheat. This is how we care about Paul.
Excuse me.
Wrong clip. Wrong clip. Here's the Paul.
You've been saving that one, haven't you?
Dude, I made like 5 clips for Trinity.
It's all the same.
They're all pretty much amount to the same thing. But
that's Benjamin Percy's also doing Wolverine and Red Hulk.
Yeah, he's good. He's one of the better Marvel writers. I'm fine with him. Doing like I have never read a Benjamin Percy comic I hated.
Yep, agreed. Anyway, his Green Arrow, his brief Detective Comics 2 issue he did, and like I said, like JJheat brought up his Teen Titans.
And
I think he left after either. I know it was around Justice League No Justice.
He left for that. He left for that.
All right. But and by Random Off 4 says we care about Paul about as much as we care about Trinity. Yep. That's accurate.
Okay. Let's go ahead and clear that up right now. Trinity is basically a revamp of Super Sons. Paul is editorial's pettiness given life.
JJheat, did you hear Tom King's reasoning for Trinity's existing? It's because he thought John and Damian needed a sister. That's it. Not about what it has to Diana.
Kara Zor-El, the War World twins, Cassandra Cain.
Oh, I'm not telling you. I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying those were his reasonings, even though they were extremely stupid reasons.
Agreed. I will agree to that one.
All right. So, speaking of that,
let's transition.
All right. I need to fight a good. I got a great intro for this.
Hereby complete the mission of the Amazons by ridding this world of you forever.
All right. JJheat, have you read 21?
Briefly. Yes, I just finished reading it. It was all right. It was all right.
No, it was not. All right. Robert, have you read it?
Yes, I have, and I have to agree with JJheat on that one. It was not great, but not the worst thing I've ever read.
Okay, so why are the gods afraid of Batman? That's the first part. Second off, why is Diana able to lie under the lasso of truth? Third off, why is she still torturing people? Fourth off, I guess it was fourth off. No, we're not going to skip it, QT. We're going to power through it. It's this fourth off. Why is Zeus swearing? Fifth off, why is Ares all of a sudden like crying all the time because of what he did as the God of War? I know he's been getting his redemption, but not once was he ever shown to have PTSD. Fifth off, why is Diana disrespecting the gods? Sixth off, why is she again stabbing people and like Batmaning it up? Fifth off, why is Hippolyta calling men just stuff for play?
JJheat, you can go first.
Okay. I like to coin an old story, Amazon's attack. A lot of writers fall into the trap of making the Amazons man-haters. Everybody falls into this trap to some degree.
And you said Amazon's attack.
Why did you say that name?
Hey, we got it. You said we got to power through it.
I know. Okay, so this was my Here was my feeling reading the issue. All right. Have you ever like been in such an existential quandary that it feels like you're in a torture chamber and you've been like waterboarded and like electrocuted for like 5 hours straight?
Yeah, it's called the Hero Should Not Be Named Run Superman.
Exactly. That's what it feels like. That's what
and
it feels
the Geneva
like.
Convention.
Yeah, there's gods and there's men, and then there's Batman. Yeah, why are they complimenting Batman? Because King loves Batman more than he does Wonder Woman's world. That's why.
He's not the only one to do this for Batman.
I know, but we're talking about King right now.
Yes, I get that, but
one at a time, gentlemen. Robert.
No, I know. I just said I get that. That's all I said.
Yeah,
okay.
But the other issue is again, Diana saying she has this deep anger because of Steve's death. You are literally saying that Diana's mood depends on Steve's safety. And I'm like, that is 100% not Diana. Yes, Robert.
Is it the same writer who had Batman completely fall apart because Catwoman left him at the altar?
And not only that, Robert, it gets worse. You know what I was reminded of today?
What?
Do you know how King was like trying to hype up Catwoman by having her beat Talia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Catwoman knocked out Barry Allen and Wally West while they were running?
Oh.
Literally, they run at her and she knocks them out.
That's just right up there with Slade being able to take out Wally way too easily just because he fought him as Kid Flash.
It's different with Slade because he's super, like he's
OP.
superhuman.
He's OP.
Yeah, but even that was still a broken fight.
It was still broken, but I'm like, it's even more broken with this.
Sorry, I adjust my camera.
So JJheat, you had your hand raised.
Okay, all right. First of all, a lot of that, was 5G, stirring the number. Everything with DC trying to copy all new, all different, and chasing headlines. We could argue semantics till we're blue in the face, but at the end of the day, Tom King's just a guy who's contracted for a gig. Was he the best choice to write Wonder Woman? Probably not. But I'm not gonna say the guy was the Antichrist or anything like that.
Compared to Wonder Woman, he kind of is.
All I'm saying is the run is lackluster and carried by the art, but I'm not going to say it's bad, at least not right now.
How many issues have you read?
Right up to now with the Sovereign. The Sovereign arc is god awful. I'm not refuting that. But I'm not saying it's not the worst thing I've ever read. I've read a lot of comics, man. You cannot break me.
No, I know.
But and I've read a lot worse too. I have read a lot worse.
Yeah, QT brings up a good point, and I tweet about this. This is literally Injustice Wonder Woman.
Now, JJheat, could you at least agree with me on this one? The level amount of what they're doing with Steve is reaching ludicrous levels. Could you at least agree to that? Like, they are reaching like, oh, come on, level.
That statue?
Sunday.
Yep, like the statue.
I will remind you, the new statue, because JJheat, they're making a new to Steve Trevor
with Wonder Woman with Diana. Look at that.
Wait, okay, so you mean to tell me they're making a statue in memoriam to a man on Themyscira?
Yes,
like this, with Diana basically being a trophy.
Okay, this is just tripe.
I gotcha, and also add up to the fact again. The fact that Diana's moves, that Diana's is taking out her anger on other people. Here's the thing. The only time I've ever seen Diana take off her anger on something else, Joshua Williamson's Batman Superman, when Donna was turned to the Donna who laughs, Diana was fighting monsters, like mythological beasts. And I go, that makes sense. She is not going to torture gods, most of whom she's been friendly with, like Hephaestus.
Yeah, Hephaestus, it just felt like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't the Pantheon her extended family for the most part?
For the most part, again, once again, King's going back and forth. Is it the Clay origin or is it the Zeus origin?
Well, regardless, even in like the Rucker run, they've always considered her an extended part of the family. So you are right on that. So it doesn't make sense doubly like that.
And also, what's up with the constant? I'm sorry. One thing about King that I'm getting fed up with is the 9-panel grid, just so he can be like more.
It's because he wants to. Again, he's trying to be Alan Moore,
and he can't pull it off.
No.
Even then, Alan Moore didn't rely on it that much. He only used it a handful of times.
And Alan Moore does not even want to be Alan Moore anymore. So I don't know what this is going for. Yeah, this is why Perez may Steve a father figure. Yeah, exactly, because he didn't want Diana to be like too dependent on, because that's one of the great things about post-crisis Wonder Woman. She really didn't have a single love interest. It was just focused on developing her as a character.
That I can agree with.
That's it. That's the good part. That's why people look at like the post-crisis Wonder Woman with such fondness, particularly like Rucka, Jimenez, and obviously Perez, because those ones, yes, they had like occasional love interest that she would be with, but ultimately they were devoted to Diana herself as a person, as a superhero, not basing all of her motivations around a man.
It's like, again, Batman was surrounded around a woman.
And JJheat, that statue thing, it gets even worse. So the story is called Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman. Guess what it's about?
How it's a spinoff of the backup story, and how how Trinity is split from 3 versions of herself across time.
Nope. It's about Trinity traveling through time trying to find her father. To quote Tom King, the series called Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman, is about fathers and daughters. Because King has said that this is all a self-insert. He is literally self-inserting his whole damn family into this book.
Okay, it can't be that on the nose.
It literally is, to the point where, so he has said that like his daughter helps him write his books. And I'm like, did she write Diana punching her Polita in the face? If so, what does that say about your family life if you're saying that, bro?
Okay, that came out of left field. Robert, you want to step in?
Well, to be fair, he is pointing out a lot of stuff that King has said.
Yeah, and King...
I'm not kidding. I can't defend that part, dude. I can't defend that
King has referred to Diana as punk rock and a rebel. That's not Diana.
Okay. That I feel is a little nitpicky, because there are people who always look at a hero in certain ways like that. That one I am
But he's acting like she's different from the other characters because of that. And I'm like, in that case, Robert, she's not. So I'm like, what are you, to train the daughter of Steve? Yeah, but no one would read it then. That's the, also, remember when the literal daughter of Darkseid is taking orders from a human?
Wait. Okay, yes, I remember.
He's talking about Grail working for the Sovereign.
Because King wants to hype up all of his creations as the best things ever. Like, remember when Trinity first shows up and she like talks down to John and Damian, and she's like the leader of the Justice League and all that.
That again, I don't get why.
I have to hold that up, Robert, because more of this. If King wants you to think,
I'm not arguing that. Yeah.
Because here's my problem with this particular issue, in addition to many other things. Also, Batman refers to Superman as a god.
No.
Robert, tell me why that's wrong.
Because Batman never okay, let me rephrase that. Some versions he does, but on average, Batman looks at Superman as we're grateful he doesn't see himself as a god.
Yeah, and I always refer to the Charles Sewell book. Now, granted, a lot of this may or may not be canon anymore, but the concept is there. Batman tells Clark, Clark, there's a reason why I've always felt very comfortable working with you. It's because no matter all your powers, you still see yourself as a human being. You still see us as your home team. You'll always fight for us. He's not a god.
No, and for Batman to say that, even if it's just a brief one line listing him, no, he would not.
And then even Batman to talk about how awesome Steve Trevor was. This whole thing is Tom King's self-masturbatory obsession with Steve Trevor, his self-insert character. That's what it is.
Okay, so we're comparing him to Bruce Timm now.
Yeah,
that's literally what you just said.
Well, here's the thing. Bruce Timm is more talented than Tom King.
Oh, definitely.
Bruce Timm in the DCAU had a better understanding of who Wonder Woman was than Tom King.
And a supervisor team that was better at reining him in, but that's a separate conversation.
My point is the DCAU Wonder Woman, a Wonder Woman that I used to hate, understands Diana way more. And again, it's like Hippolyta, and actually NJ brings up a good point. I'm trying to find her comment. Yeah, Hippolyta seeing men as like things to be above you or below you, and everything else just play. That's not anything Hippolyta would ever say.
She never has said that. She has never said that in any version.
Here's the thing, Robert. It also doesn't make sense with this run, because remember when Diana brought Trinity to meet Hippolyta, she goes, And the father?
Mm-hmm.
So he's not even consistent with his own damn story. I'm like, this is the most shoddy written Wonder Woman run I have ever read. I say I have ever read.
Yep. I was about to say.
There are worse out there.
There are worse
out there, but of the ones I have read, this makes Rebirth Rucka look like a masterpiece. And that says a lot from me. Me. Oh my God. It's like whenever Robert, do you know how one of my complaints about Lois, whether or not true or not, is that DC denigrates other characters to hold her up?
I definitely feel you're definitely far off on it, but yes, I know that's one of your opinions.
King is doing that to prop up Diana. He's making other characters look like assholes to hold up. Look how awesome Diana is. I'm sorry, that is girl boss / and I'm going to use this word now because that's what this is.
Playing with fire, Jared.
That is woke.
Oh boy.
Am I wrong?
Oh boy.
Am I wrong?
And Tevia, to answer your remark quickly, I would argue the New 52 Wonder Woman plays akin to the Kratos from God of War.
Not Kratos from JJheat. Robert, am I wrong to call this run woke based on everything I've said?
Would I call it woke? I don't.
Because he's denigrating other characters to hold up Diana.
By the general definition of whatever everyone goes off on about woke, that I would say, here's what I would say. It's more poor writing that he can't write Diana being strong on her own without denigrating other characters.
Okay, because let me put it this way. Do you know who wrote Diana great and made her a strong character? Greg Rucka.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That I can agree with.
Both times by Cameron. The reason why Detective Chimp is because Tom King was literally using his Wonder Woman book to pitch other books he'd rather be writing. His words. And then when he got called out on it, he said, "Oh, that was Sampere's idea to bring in Detective Chimp." I'm like, you said you were doing this because you wanted to pitch this book.
Okay, creators can make pitches or subtle nods on social media all they want. They still need an editorial team to approve it.
Unfortunately, the editorial is not. It just lets King get away with so much.
Brittany is not doing her job at all.
Oh, they're lax. I'm not refuting that at all. I'm just saying that's usually what happens.
I think because they're all afraid he's going to get them fired like he did on the Batman.
I don't think he can, though. I really don't think he has that power like he did before.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, he's eventually going to transfer over to the movie side to be consultant for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. So he'll likely get another couple of months, maybe a year on this book at best.
Couple of months. Do not extend this, JJheat. Do not jinx me. Why make Hephaestus of all male gods acting like an R word? That's the other thing. The way it's framed, Diana's on her knees, a rope around her neck in front of Hephaestus. Her face is at crotch level. I'm like, bro, did anyone think this through?
We're so gonna get demonetized.
Whatever. King is throwing Sampere under the bus instead of admitting he's wrong. That's what he does all the time. The dude even took credit for creating Kite Man.
Creating? Wait a minute.
When did he go that far to say he took credit for creating? Hang on. When the show was announced, someone tweeted, "Oh, Tom King, it's so cool to see a character you created getting a show, isn't it?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's really cool."
Okay,
that's...
The man doesn't. If he said, "I didn't create him, I maybe popularized him," that's one thing. But the man doesn't say what he needs to say.
Okay, so someone on social media reaching out or only recognizing the modern stuff, which Tom King did write the scripts and get a writer credit for the comic, and not correct.
I didn't create the character. They were saying you created the character.
I'm not saying Tom King wasn't wrong to hog the glory, because Kite Man, at least in concept, was a gag character from the Silver Age.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not refuting that. He just didn't correct this. We're not going to name names, of course, but Tom King just didn't correct this individual on social media. He just accepted the compliment.
Yeah, which to be fair, Garrett, to be fair, other creators have done that. That's not just because you don't like Tom King doesn't mean you shouldn't say they get a pass, but he doesn't.
Combine this with the times he took credit for Darkseid is. The man has taken credit for other people's work before.
He has taken credit for
that's what I'm establishing, Robert. It's a pattern of behavior.
Oh, fair enough.
This man is an immoral writer. I'm going to tell you this right now. He has zero principles. Hephaestus was Diana's closest brother. Should be sympathetic to him. Exactly. And no one wants the Kite Man show.
That I will. Wait, no one. What? Wait,
no
what?
one talks about the Kite Man show.
Hold on.
Whoa,
it got some traction. Not much, mind you, but
I never hear about it anymore. No one talks about it like they do with Harley Quinn.
Because Harley Quinn is bloated to death. I mean, seriously, after season 2, where's the story? Where is
I'm not saying Harley Quinn had a better story, but I'm saying since the show premiered, I've never heard anyone talk about it.
All I'm saying is Kite Man is a palate cleanser after the Valentine's Day special.
That is true.
Roped into saying that. I'm just saying Kite Man is a palate cleanser. That's
but here's the thing. On this Hephaestus thing, Tom King would know this. This is my other issue. He is a liar because he keeps saying, oh yeah, I know a lot about comics and I understand Wonder Woman. Well, let me put it this way. If you have to keep saying that every podcast you go on to, that's a surefire way of telling people you don't know comics.
I will say that is a little overdone when a writer says that. Because, yeah, a writer shouldn't have to constantly say it, I know comics, when just to prove it. I will acknowledge that.
Because here's the thing.
He who must utter is a king is no true king.
Well, JJheat, it's like if I went into an office building and says, I'm in charge, I'm in charge, I'm in charge. You're not in charge.
Yeah, it's like...
no Game of Thrones fans in the panel? Okay.
Well, actually, you know, it's like, did you guys ever see the episode of The Office where Michael walks in the middle of the office and goes, I declare bankruptcy?
Yes.
That's it. That's all it is. That's what it sounds like. It has that energy. He's a less funny version of Michael Scott. Can't believe that Kite Man show gets show over Diana. We've talked
That's
about
due to licensing. That's due to licensing and business with the estate. That's
no, it's not, JJheat.
As long as Diana is maintained and respected in a powerful and badass way, the I forget the names, but their estate has been they're a lot more.
The Marsdens.
Thank you. The Marsden estate is more lax now, but 15, 20 years ago, getting a Wonder Woman animated series off the ground would have been almost impossible with the Marsdens
and Cameron. In terms of how many issues we have left of this, I would estimate he leaves in between issue 30 and issue 50. He's not getting 100 issues unless he dramatically improves the sales and gets people back on board, which I think that ship has sailed. It's going to be in that window is when he leaves.
Even on a monthly title, the book is a monthly title last time I checked. But even then, with those numbers, you're still looking at about another year.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying 30 to 50, somewhere in there, unless the book completely repeatedly tanks, there's no way he gets past issue 50. There's no way. I cannot see that.
Now, if it has a series of up and downs, he'll be on it a bit. But, if it's a roller coaster, but if it's a continual down, no.
Consistently.
Yeah, consistent downward spiral, no. He will be gone.
But, Tevia, to answer your question, I will give some grace with the Batman run because a lot of that stemmed from 5G and how that went under. So I'm not going to fault Tom King for that specifically, even if he did get a pity series, Batman and Catwoman out of it to fulfill his contract. But at least the choices in that run, I'm not going to fault on Tom King alone. Which I feel like is fair.
I defended him for so long because I was like, a lot of what people attack him for on the book is not his fault in the Batman book. If King writes Diana this badly, I'm really concerned for the Lantern show. Yeah, particularly when the showrunner says, "Oh yeah, it's mainly just Tom King's version of Lantern."
I don't get why they said that when he's not the showrunner.
I think he has more influence over that show than you think he does.
From what we know officially, he is a story consultant for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. That's the only one we know definitively.
That makes sense because it's based on his book. But I'm saying on Lanterns, I'm like, you realize that by saying that you're going to piss off a lot of people saying it's Tom King's version of Lanterns. The man has a 0-2 track record of writing Lanterns. I'm just gonna a 1-2 because I've heard Omega Man is good.
And no, he has a 2 because he also had that one shot during Darkseid War.
Okay. He does.
He has a 2-2. This could tip it in either direction. And just says, I pray that the next writer who actually cares brings back Hippolyta and Julia. Well, again, I always say if Absolute Wonder Woman brings in Julia, that is going to be so hilarious because he refuses to do that. Thoughts on how he treated Donna and Cassie? Here's what you have to understand. He straight up said he did because he wanted to show how awesome Diana is. That's why he didn't want to have the gods or the Wonder Girls in the run at all.
Yeah, editorial
he
forced
got
him
pressured by editorial. And I'm like, if you can pressure him to do that, can you pressure him to actually care? That would be nice. That would be very nice. But ultimately, the way I see this going at the end, when he leaves the book, this is going to be, in my opinion, the worst Wonder Woman run ever. But I think it's going to be one of the ones that everyone forgets ever happens in terms of like, oh yeah, remember when King wrote Wonder Woman? Yeah, the only thing that people remember if they keep her around is Trinity.
I would say the only thing people will remember for him is the length.
Is the length and the overall crappy quality.
No.
The length.
The length is going to be the only, and Trinity are going to be the only lasting thing. The quality isn't even going to be important to people. It's just going to be his length overall.
Unless you count the legacy renumbering, the average writer, at least in modern times, lasts about 2, maybe 3 volumes worth of comics before they change creative teams.
Yeah, and in the case of and now to be fair, even if a King reaches 100, he's still not going to be the longest running run. That was a Golden Age writer who lasted well over 100 issues. So no matter what,
155 if I remember correctly.
What?
I think the exact number was about
thereabouts. But yeah, so King is never going to reach that. But if he does, he reach even 50. He'll have a moderately long run, not Perez long, but still relatively long.
If I Random Op 4, I love Random Op 4. If I had a nickel for every time King writes a Trinity character terribly in his run, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice.
You can't deny the Superman book wasn't good.
I refuse to read it.
Wait, which one?
The up in the sky.
Oh yeah, John King did get a credit.
I refuse to read it, even if he has an issue where he repeatedly kills Lois. Brit says when he leaves the book, a party being thrown. Oh, we're going to throw a party for sure. We're going to throw a special party stream and say that the demon is gone. But yeah. But anyway, so.
Well, and no, I don't think Trinity will be gone when he leaves.
No, Trinity is not getting shelved.
No. We'll see on that. But anyway. So let's transition to a topic that Robert suggested on obscure character comics that deserve more issues.
Demon Knights. Demon Knights. That's the first one I want to say. Demon Knights deserve so much more love. It was this whole idea of an early non-Justice League team that existed back in medieval times. You know, you had Madame Xanadu. You had the Shining Knight. You had Etrigan, you had so many of these. Yeah.
We have something that's kind of breaking. Mark Millar has been teasing something.
Okay.
So he's teasing. So he puts this up. A Fantastic Four and 5. Is he writing a Superman Fantastic Four crossover comic?
There is talk. There is the rumors.
That's interesting.
Now,
allegedly.
There's a lot. No. They have confirmed, they have confirmed there is going to be a Marvel DC crossover sometime this year because of how huge those omnibuses did.
Yep. Which
they never said it was going to be 2 specials.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's not going to be what was like with JLA versus the Avengers. It's
no. This is going to be 2 specials. I'm pretty sure there's grounds to renegotiate if these do well.
And I think eventually, if these keep doing well, I think there is a chance they reprint JLA Avengers.
Again.
It depends, but still, I mean, actually, again, so
you know what I'm going to grab, but I'm not going to do it.
I know. But still, if this is because the Fantastic Four and Superman movie released at the same time, it could be like something like drum up hype, maybe. Mark Millar.
To be fair, but if you actually go back into Death Metal and Dark Knight's Metal, this at least pseudo references to Marvel and this alleged crossover has been in the works for the past couple of
Doomsday
years.
Clock.
Excuse me, since Doomsday Clock.
But it has been. Yeah, Mark Millar. He's not going to be writing Wonder Woman. We all know why he shouldn't write Wonder Woman.
I couldn't resist.
Mm-hmm.
We know you couldn't, Robert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
oh, okay.
And it's autographed. Nice.
Not just that one, but Jim Shooter as well.
Okay,
Nice.
there you go.
Because he worked on the original plotting for the one that never got made.
Dope. So
yeah, they need to reprint this. They need to reprint.
They really do, because I want it so badly. And I don't want the single issues. I want the full. I want the image of Superman having Captain America shielding me on there.
But you want it for this though. The compendium is the best part.
Because if they come, here's the thing: they could reprint those all in one volume, like make an actual omnibus.
Look, they include the one that never got made.
Yeah,
they were able to find all the pages, and those they couldn't, they used the photos that were taken.
That works. So back to what we're talking about in terms of like obscure comics that needed more issues. I would say I'm going to also say a new 52 book. It's not Superman, Wonder Woman. It's Men of War.
Oh,
because that has always been like something that has fascinated me, and an idea that I wish they would do more, because DC has done war comics in the past, but I'm like, what does war look like in a world with superheroes? That is something I think they could really explore, and they did in that series.
Yeah, they did.
Which is why I was like, okay, that's actually really dope. And obviously, I would want more Charles Soule, Superman, and Wonder Woman, but beyond that, I'm going without the obvious ones.
Right. I'm talking about ones that feel like when you look back and you realize didn't get as much love as it deserved.
Terrifics.
Yep. Okay. No. Yeah, but that was the longest lasting of that.
After that new age, after death metal.
Yeah, that was the longest lasting. I'd say Sideways or Damage.
Silencer got canceled almost immediately.
I know. I didn't say Silencer. I said Sideways.
Oh, I'm about to say.
Damage was dope, bro. Oh,
it
God.
Was.
Like Wonder Woman. Oh, yeah.
A mix of Hour Man and the Hulk. Where can you go wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love that, especially the hour length. That hour length was like, oh.
What X-Men characters do you guys think deserves more issues? Oh, that's a good question. Not any of the Gwen characters. I would say.
Like the Gwen, don't count as X-Men.
Oh, okay, good. I was checking.
Why would those count as X-Men?
Maybe Cyclops could have a mini-series at least to like rehabilitate the character, kind of.
You know what? I'll say it. Emma.
Yes, please. And by they're giving her one, which I'm like, yes, that instantly goes.
I wonder if that's because of Marvel Rivals.
Yeah. I want that. I would so support that. Do you guys think OMAC deserves more as a character? I enjoyed that series. I would have liked to see more of that.
Okay. Yeah, I would say though, at least the Dio gave it a closing the door during his middleman stuff.
It's actually really interesting. That's one of the things I liked about the new 52 is all the experimentation they did with like all these different books. And at least they were putting in an effort to like try new ideas and stuff. So I'll give them credit for that.
Yeah.
But question, what about Brimstone? I've never read Brimstone.
Curse of Brimstone was all right.
Isn't he DC's Ghost Rider?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Kitty Pryde, that could be fun. I'd like that.
Okay.
There's a lot of series that I would love to get more of. Jeff Johns Hawkman.
Yeah. Hawkman. But
and now here's the thing. I'm going to add an addendum. Even if the series has ended, if you want more of that with that creative team.
Okay, I got 2 books that actually fell under the same title, and technically more can be done with them, but not at DC.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me gather them up so I can show them, because I did PTNs on them.
Mm-hmm.
While we're waiting on that, I would say that modern Jay Garrick Flash run they did. Was
it daughter?
Yeah, it tied directly into the Stargirl miniseries, and I just like the creative team. That was a pretty decent book.
I got one.
Ignore that. That was
I got
wrong.
one. It's gonna be another new 52 books. Big surprise with me, I know. Deathstroke by Tony Daniel.
It
was a good run.
I prefer the Priest run.
That one too. That one was fun. Okay, yeah. I'll
Ravager.
I'll bring it up. Tanga.
That was during the
I remember
Adventures and all that stuff. Alongside, hold on, let me get the other one. Alongside this other character, which was meant to be a replacement for Swamp Thing if they couldn't keep the rights.
All right. Garbage Man.
By Aaron Lopresti. I mean, look at that. Look at that.
That is literally Swamp Thing.
Yeah, but it's similar with his origin, right down to the fact that he's not the real deal. He's a copy carried over. But yeah, like I said, I wish they did more with these guys.
Mm-hmm. How about,
okay.
What else? What else?
Another pick for me would have to be Ravager.
Okay.
That's the Ravagers, you mean? The Ravagers?
No, Rose Wilson, Ravager.
But she never had her own book.
NJ has a good question. What Marvel characters would you like Wonder Woman to cross over with? Emma Frost.
But in all honesty, what I can see actually.
Power Princess. I'm only kidding.
no, that's easy, dude.
No, I had to.
I'd have to say either She-Hulk or not Storm.
Jane Foster.
Perhaps I was actually going to say if we wanted to keep it to a female character, I hate to say it, Captain Marvel, Carol.
Well, yeah, as long as Carol is written well.
Hold on, didn't Jane die in God Butcher?
No.
Okay,
no, you're thinking about the movie. She's still alive, dude. She's Valkyrie now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's see. How about? I mean, Storm is an obvious one.
The less I want to be reminded of that curb stop, the better.
I know. How about?
At least we now know that it had nothing to do with her holding the hammer. At least we know that now.
Yeah. Wait, what Spider-Man comic would you say were short or were too short or obscure?
You mean runs, in other words?
Yeah, essentially.
Nick Spencer brought a lot of goodwill back into the brand, but I understand why.
That said, will shortly shat upon, or it's more editorial, but still.
And remember Beyond also really shat on it too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially what they did to poor Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
You got everyone's hope. They thought, oh, this is gonna be Ben's time to shine. And by the time they're end, they're like, what the F?
Mm-hmm.
Some things you don't mess with. That is the death of the Waynes. The death of Gwen Stacy. Ben's
they already done that.
And they've messed with both. They've messed with both of those you mentioned, JJheat.
I beg your pardon.
Hold on. Give me a moment.
They tried to screw with the death of the Waynes by Tom Taylor making it changing the motivations of Joe Chill. And then you add
that's not it.
Stacy thing.
Wait. Give me a moment.
Yeah.
I'm getting it. Where is it?
Yeah, that's actual Gwen Stacy, by the way, JJheat. That's the Gwen Stacy that died.
I understand why you want to revitalize Gwenpool. I get it from a meta sense because God damn it.
I love how he tried to justify. He goes, God damn it, I can't do it.
Yeah, because why? Everyone keeps thinking she's a Gwen Stacy. And I'm sorry, that was a mistake. That was a mistake to make her an
I love Cameron, son of a. Yeah, I know. This is Marvel, guys. The only good decision they've made is bringing back Frank. Besides that, it's all a crapshoot.
And that's Kevin Scott, who's not a bad writer. And I got to say, the writing here is not the worst I've ever read.
This is the point. Let me put it this way. This is when I was like, we said the name of the writer, Tavia, just letting you know that.
Yeah, just said Kevin Scott, yeah.
But if you're sticking to her original death, sorry, I was reading Random's comment.
Yeah,
keep Sin's past as far away from this as possible.
It's already been undone.
Okay.
Yeah, I said keep her dead. Keep her dead. Don't bring her back. You're done.
Yeah, remember, Spencer undid it.
Thank God. Thank God for Spencer. I'm like, that alone is why that run is awesome. By the way, I have something that I got signed that I'm going to pick up.
I know I'm gonna risk some ire for saying this, but if you are gonna have that, what happened with Sid's past, why not set it up to where Gwen shacked with Harry? I mean, it was right there.
I know, but remember, originally it was supposed to be Peter's kids, and it was the fact that you had Joe Quesada wanting to just dump on Gwen.
So what I got, so this is the first volume of the Spencer run, and this is signed by Ryan Otley.
Nice.
I got a Ryan Otley signature book too.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
Hey, dude, who are you talking to here?
I know.
I'm sorry. They did what with Uncle Ben?
Well, they brought him back in Spider-Verse. He was the Spider-Man of his Earth.
But that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. That's a glorified.
Yes, it does. They brought the character back.
No. That's an alternate version.
Still counts.
That's like saying Spider-Gwen was the real 616 Gwen.
Okay, I can kind of see that. But NJ says Martian Manhunter and Emma Frost and Professor X, who has the strongest telepathic powers. It's Professor between X. Martian and Professor X.
Yeah.
Because
if we're counting pure telepathic powers, I would say Professor X. But Martian Manhunter ain't afraid to play dirty either.
In terms of who has the strongest telepathic powers, I gotta go with Professor X. As much as I love Martian Manhunter, the stuff I've seen Professor X do, I've never seen John Jones do.
Well, that's the thing, though. John is more... Here's the other thing is, John is always showing restraint on his own nature. Xavier never really showed any restraint. He might claim he did, but he never really did.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like...
Say what you will about the man, but yeah, the man is... They have made that man other scum.
Yeah, basically.
Unfortunate.
Pure characters. Would you bring back Telos and Finchester? Who's Telos?
Oh,
you mean from Convergence?
Because they left him dangling. To be fair, though, I'm pretty sure so much of the Convergence up, like the Alder Parallax got wiped out when Rebirth happened.
By the way, according to NJ, Martian Manhunter affected Spectre and Perpetua.
Briefly.
I know it's just Professor X. The stuff I've seen the men do is like...
Professor X has better and more consistent feats. Martian Manhunter was amped up. I don't know what he was specifically amped up with, but
Cameron has a good question. Would you say Krakoa could be brought back? No, I would only bring it back if Jonathan Hickman is allowed to have total control to finish his story. He wouldn't come back. I don't think he trusts Marvel editorial. I don't think he trusts the X editorial anymore. But I'm like, assuming you could overcome that, that's the only time I would ever say do Krakoa.
Okay, would you guys trust Hickman with DC?
Yes.
Depends on the book.
Depending on the book, but yes.
Okay, a Hickman Teen Titans run, because we haven't seen... Because Teen Titans has effectively been on the shelf since the Adam Glass run.
The books I would love to see Hickman on are Legion, Justice League.
Legion.
Yeah, exactly.
Green Lantern.
Hickman on Green Lantern would be Joe.
Now, granted, I'm loving what Adams is doing. If it wasn't for Adams, I would have said that. But I would say, like, Legion, I would have loved to see him handle the Legion of Superheroes. In fact, from what I've heard, a lot of what he's done for Krakoa was plans for Legion.
Yeah, he has the pitch for Legion. So I'm like, yeah, do that. I would also love Justice League. Did the Punisher appear in the Ultimate Universe yet?
No.
No,
they
didn't. I don't think so.
In the original Ultimate Universe, yes. In fact, they made him just a ruthless killer.
Which Green Lantern run was obscure in your eyes? Ooh.
There's not that many I don't already know or have read.
Probably Jeffrey Thorne. One that's obscure. Not necessarily bad, but obscure.
Wait, did you just compliment the Thorne run?
No, because Robert likes it.
I thought it was all right.
I
didn't hate. I did not.
It's not horrible. It's not bad, but it's not good.
It is one of the most editorially interfered with runs the character has had.
I'm willing to concede to that, because say what you will, what editorial was going through at the time, but if you actually take it on its own, it's not bad, but it's not good either.
I got one. Earth 1.
Which one?
No, I mean both as one run.
Okay, the Earth run, yeah, I would say Earth 1 Teen Titans is the weakest.
Of those, it is the weakest, but I would say Superman's the best, in my opinion. Batman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman.
For me, it's Batman, then Superman, then Green Lantern, then Wonder Woman, then Teen Titan.
Because I'm sorry, Wonder Woman just goes downhill after that first volume.
Yeah, for me, I still say it's halfway through the second volume. It suffers from the Superman Year One syndrome.
Yeah, I'm just like, the minute that it gets worse when you realize that Grant Morrison wanted to give the Amazons orgasm guns to shoot Nazis with, and I'm like,
sounds like that should be awesome, but it's wrong.
Yeah, that's such a Morrison idea.
But you agree, like that sounds like that should be awesome, but then you're like, wait.
I don't know a lot of Flash runs, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about Manipul that much.
Unfortunately, no, I see Vendetti's run, because at least Manipul got an omnibus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Vendetti's run was pretty decent. I'm not going to lie.
I enjoyed it, but it deserved so much more.
Obscure Iron Man story.
Demon in the Bottle.
No, obscure.
Everyone knows Demon in the Bottle. The story where he married Emma Frost. Does that count?
By the way,
that's too recent to be obscure.
How did you react when you found out from Mark Waid about how that story came about?
Which one?
The Emma and Tony. He brought that up on my interview. I asked him, wait, you guys represent the history of the Marvel Universe. Do you think they planned it up that far back? He said, no, we planted nuggets, and then someone decided to take that and actually run with it.
So it was like it was in the future. It was in the future of the Marvel Universe. It's just that they saw it and it was like, let's do this.
Yeah, they saw these little nuggets, and someone decided, hey, I'll make that actually canon instead of just a little playful nugget.
You know what? I respect that. It's
well,
like,
and ironically enough,
if it wasn't for Mark Waid suggesting that idea, it never would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being honest, minus Pepper, Tony and Emma at least have a stable relationship from what I've read.
Yes.
It's a pretty dope run.
The two work when they did. The two complement each other. The two are too much alike.
It's to the point where if Cyclops did not exist, I would ship Emma with Tony.
Can we agree to that? The two are too much alike.
To a degree, but it was a very cool idea. I really like that. What's the most obscure X-Men run from any era before Hickman?
Oh,
the classic.
Obscure. We're saying obscure, JJheat.
Ones that like no one really talks about. Some people
Generation
don't like
X?
Emma and Tony for some reason, and they're called people without taste.
Generation X, no, because I think that's still recognized to a point.
Okay, all right, I lose this one.
I think the ones that are obscure for a reason, and we don't want to bring them up.
And
I think that's the downside. Some of these obscure runs are obscure for a reason.
Yeah, NJ says, do you think the next Wonder Woman writer could bring back Liar Liar? She was really cool and her powers were interesting.
Deep cut.
Who's Liar Liar?
It's up to that's Maxwell Lord's daughter.
Oh, yeah. It's up to the writer, but let me put it this way. I would be very impressed if they did.
But I personally don't. It all depends on the writer. I mean, hey, I still can't believe someone brought back. I still cannot believe G. Will Wilson brought back Nemesis, the female Nemesis villain, back when technically she shouldn't exist anymore.
Let me put it this way, NJ. If I were writing Wonder Woman, I would do that because that actually sounds really cool. Cameron says, I mean, Robert is right. Emma and Tony are both backstabbing bastards, so they work.
And they're so narcissistically egotistical with each other.
It works really well. So I'm like, all right. It actually
that's
works
why
really well.
But the fact that she gave him his money back, and what does the next writer do? He loses it again.
See, Iron Man has the Batman syndrome where he keeps losing his money. It's the same story.
Here's the problem. You have too many people, and I remember Purge put this best. People keep deconstructing him, but never reconstructing him. So you're just deconstructing the deconstructing. In fact, them giving the money back, that was the closest we've had to a reconstruction in a long time.
Yeah. Random Op 4 says, what obscure Wonder Woman villain should be featured more?
You and I went over when we went over the Legends. What was her name? That one woman from the, hold on.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I'm trying to think of who was.
Yeah, because we went over that. Hold on, the Legend.
What is it? Caterpillar Man, Centipede Man.
No, that's not who we're talking.
Centipede Man.
Atamia.
Yeah, and by NJL says Queen Clea. That's another one, but Atamia is a good one. Yeah, I like
Atamia is definitely a good one because she's an interesting one. And yeah, the fact that Kurt Busiek decided, hey, we haven't seen her since. Let's explain why.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I mean, those are some interesting ones.
Which Batman Obscure run should get more attention? Actually, is there even one? Yeah, because
there's plenty. There's plenty.
Okay, let's talk about that.
I would have to say Williamson's run's become a bit obscure lately.
It has.
Yeah, I don't hear a lot of people talking about it
because it served a purpose. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, we're talking about his Robin run or
his Batman run?
Oh, that's right. He did do a brief.
You forgot he. Case in point.
Yeah, but wasn't that just a prelude for Batman Incorporated? He just took over for a couple of issues.
No, dude, this was after Tynion left.
Yeah, and then we end up getting Batman Inc. with Ghostmaker.
No. First of all, that was Rosenberg who did Batman Inc.
Okay.
No. His run was the lead up to what eventually included Shadow War. It was a bit of a lead up to Dark Crisis.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up for me, Robert.
Yeah, but by the way, I do have one character that's obscure, and as much as I would like there to be more of her, there is and they gave her a definitive end, so it wouldn't happen. Hold on, I'll show it. Right?
It's not Scorn, is it?
No. First of all, it's an indie character.
Oh, is JLA Act of God considered obscure today? Yeah, and let's not reference that story. Oh, okay. There you go.
The Martha Washington books.
That was fun.
I mean, come on. Just the fact that it's so political and yet it's like it works.
Yeah, but yeah, JLA Act of God, do not. I don't want to reference. I'm a Super Wonder fan, and I don't want to reference that story.
And even you admit the way they handled Lois made no sense. Even you admit it's like it's a disgrace to Lois, even for you.
Yeah. Queen Clea as the leader of Villainy Inc. I like her making an epic comeback. Yeah, again, it depends on the writer if the writer thinks of that character. But yeah, I was like, that's a great character to bring back nowadays. I'm like, okay, that kind of works.
By the way, something you and I once talked about that I think I should bring about here. I once told you what I would do for a Wonder Woman story if I was to write Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
May I give my suggestion because you've done it before?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would open up with Diana going throughout the multiverse, seeing various versions of herself, and seeing getting reminders of her own adventures, but also seeing herself in cases and handlings where she's like, "How did I become like this?" And it's a way of her embracing who she could be, who she should be, and and all that stuff. Where she uses other Wonder Women as to judge herself. She judges herself. They don't judge her.
Didn't she go through a similar experience during her brief mini arc in Valhalla?
I don't believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they did, it was very brief. I would have to be a whole arc, though.
Okay.
Not just a brief bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that would include also having adventures or fighting some of them. Like she would fight her Injustice or Flashpoint self.
Yeah, well, the Flashpoint one is not evil.
No, but she would still fight her. I do feel they would still come to blow.
That's the one where they would fight at first and then stop fighting to team up and do something because that Wonder Woman is not evil. Injustice, they would team up and fight.
Actually, I would say this. There would be two different Flashpoints because I want to actually bring that to a close. Say there's two Flashpoints. One where she is utterly monstrous and the other one where she isn't. Just to make it clear, they're not the same.
Here's the funny thing about that, Robert. The Wonder Woman in Flashpoint and then Flashpoint Beyond are two very different characters. Like,
well, not just Flashpoint
Beyond.
Beyond
Was murderous.
Oh, no, but I'm saying not just Flashpoint Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay, in the original Flashpoint comic, that was just a lover's quarrel. That's with the whole half the world caught in the
Actually,
middle.
no, it wasn't because they were not lovers in that book.
I'm pretty sure they had an affair.
You're thinking of the animated movie. In if you read the Flashpoint Wonder Woman and the Furies book, that 100% establishes she never slept with Arthur. What happened was All right, so here's the story.
Mera tried to assassinate her,
Not
right?
Mera. Well, okay, so wait. Rewind. So what happened is that the Amazons and Atlanteans meet, and they're going to there was going to be a marriage between Arthur and Diana to link the kingdoms. But Arthur's brother Orm and an Amazon named Penthesilea teamed up to stop this by Penthesilea disguising herself as an Atlantean and killing Hippolyta. So that way the Amazons and Atlanteans would fight. So then the Atlanteans show up on Themyscira trying to bring peace, and then they're attacked by what they think is an Amazon. So what happens is they go to war. This is when the island is destroyed. And as the island's being destroyed, Mera is fighting Diana. And Diana repeatedly tells Mera, stop fighting me. I don't want to kill you. You're like a sister to me. Mera wouldn't stop fighting. So Diana has to end that threat. She does so. And then she wears Mera's helmet as a reminder of what this war has cost them. When Diana finds out they're being manipulated, she repeatedly goes to Arthur and says, we're being manipulated. We need to stop. And then Arthur repeatedly says, you're wearing the helmet of my queen. I'm going to kill you. And even in the original in the comic, she's saying, Arthur, you need to listen to me. We're being manipulated.
But now, was it how do you say her name? But she was the one who stabbed Billy, correct?
Yes.
No. It wasn't her. It was a different Amazon. The crimes that Diana did in that movie were not attributed to her in the comic.
And yet, here's the funny thing. Other things like during conversions, they treated her as a monster too.
Because no one read that. They only took it off of the main book. And I'm like, even though in the main book, she's telling Arthur, we need to stop fighting.
Yeah, but it's but then there's the part where it's I never loved you. You never really did.
There was still that. But that's the problem. I love how Jeff is trying to portray Wonder Woman as bloodthirsty, as he normally does. But then the writer of the Wonder Woman the Furies book is of the tie-in. Actually, you know what? I'll get it because I have the other one.
I would not be surprised if he had a copy.
Well, yeah.
I have all of them.
All right, I'm going to tell you this. So I got this randomly. It wasn't like I was going to cover this for the channel or anything like that. It's just because I love Flashpoint and I wanted to learn more about the world because the tie-ins really expanded. So I picked it up and read through the whole thing cover to cover. And what I noticed, there was something weird here. Okay, Wonder Woman, the Amazon, and the Furies is Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning.
Yep, DNA.
That explains it. So when I was reading this, immediately this makes me hate the Flashpoint movie because I get that they had to simplify it, but they simplified it in a way that painted Diana to be the villain. And I'm like, that's not who that is. It's like when I explained to Britt on the show the full story of Flashpoint, the actual story, Britt's like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, oh, no. So if you want to say that, like, even the Emperor Aquaman book, Diana's saying there's no love lost between us, but we've been manipulated into going to war. It's not, we shouldn't be doing this. We're destroying the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm like, thank you, Dan Abnett. Thank you, DNA, for doing this, for actually doing Diana justice, even in Flashpoint. I really appreciate that. But this is one of those occasions where I'm like, then at least have her say stop the war because we're destroying the world. I'm not saying you have to give the full like extended backstory, but
by the way, can I say one?
Yeah.
Can I say one company that I feel that actually really deserves a lot more love than people think, and that's Dynamite.
Yeah, they have some pretty good stuff. I love me some Red Sonja.
Vampirella.
They have some pretty dope books. I love that.
I mean, Vampirella by Christopher Priest has been nailing it.
And Tavia, it's not, again, like I said, it's not the movie. It's not the comic. It's mainly the movie that done her dirty. Because even the comic, if you just read the graphic novel, it still has Diana telling Arthur we need to stop fighting. It doesn't go into all that stuff, but it still has that.
Yeah, exactly. Just like it was Scott Snyder who expanded on Superman.
Yeah, I mean, Superman Flashpoint, that was Scott Snyder?
Yeah, that was Scott Snyder who expanded it.
That was a really good expansion. Like that was one of my favorite series. I was like, oh wow, this is good.
Yeah, look it up. It was Scott.
I also honestly, I enjoyed the Lois Lane and the Resistance book.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one.
It was Grifter, of course.
Yeah, I do enjoy me some Grifter. I love Cole. I do enjoy Cole. He was cool, very cool. The Flashpoint. Yeah, I know, Random. Up for read the Wonder Woman the Furies comic. It is a huge. She discovers that the Amazons have set up prison camps. She shuts them down as soon as she finds out. She says, "I never ordered this."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Diana being written as unnecessarily unlikable in adaptations, even though it's produced, no animated movies will get more traction than comics. Yeah, I know. All right, here's a good one: obscure Star Wars runs. Ooh. I don't hear people talk about the Charles Soule Darth Vader comic enough.
I think because all the Vader books kind of blend together.
Yeah, but the Charles Soule one was like, well, this Charles Soule, so of course I'm gonna love it. But
right.
I love it. I love it. By the way, so Robert, here's what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about Garrison's uniform essentially being the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. Like it's a little different, but it still makes the same damn skull.
Yep.
I'm like, this is not changing anything.
Oh. Here's another obscure run that I think deserves more recognition. I don't think it deserves to continue, but it deserves recognition. Okay. Wolverine Origins.
Yeah, that one's good.
His origin, but the Origins ongoing that lasted 50 issues.
That was good. I like that one.
It gave us Daken, Dark Wolverine. It gave us Romulus, who I don't care what people say. I actually like Romulus as a villain.
Well, that's another thing. You know what series I think deserves more love is Dark Avengers. I love it.
Yeah, but done by He Who Shall Not Be Named, who almost destroyed
There's a
Superman.
lot of really good books in like the I think it's called the Dark Ages for that.
Dark Reign
had a lot of great books. That's actually the first Marvel graphic novel I ever owned. It was the Siege. It's basically a Siege omnibus.
Yeah, it's basically Dark Reign was the banner, the branding.
Yeah, but while I get the Siege book, are there any obscure Captain America runs?
Oh yeah, I'd have to say, for example, even though it lasted a long time, people have forgot about the Grunewald era. Mm-hmm. JJheat, what do you think? JJheat?
Nice, by the way. I gotta run that I know JJheat probably.
JJheat, you still there, or did we lose him?
JJheat, you are muted. Oh, he's probably but anyway, so here's that. So it's the
I was mentioning the Grunewald Captain America run.
That is very obscure. That is
if you know it's a long-lasting one, it's going to take us multiple omnibuses to get through.
All right, I'm going to say this. Okay, this is the Sentry. This is the design for the Void that I don't like.
Oh, I hate that. Why? Why go for what's supposed to be a devil?
Just have. All right, that's another obscure Marvel series that I think deserves more love. Sentry.
Oh, you mean the original?
Yeah, the original one by Jenkins. That one's dope. Particularly also the story behind it about how Marvel lied in like Wizard magazine.
Now, I will say this. One version of that version, the only thing I ever thought about that version of Sentry that actually worked was during the What If.
Yeah.
Especially that bit I showed you of Emma unlocking it and he just pounds her head in like
yeah.
Even you have to admit that is just like that is when people think about Superman being an angry god.
Yeah, exactly. And then it leads to people thinking that's always Superman.
But I got a couple of obscure Hulk runs.
By the way, so do you guys know what I picked up without knowing whether or not it's bad or not?
Which one?
I'm going to wait until Robert gets back.
While we're waiting on that, NJ says, I hope Injustice 3 is just a rumor and will never be made because...
Yeah.
I mean, after what happened with Mortal with Mortal 1K, I could understand from a business standpoint, but there's nothing.
Hey, Robert.
There's nothing in terms of story.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah, wait, is that which one? Yeah, I was about to say that's the bad one.
I got this without knowing what it was. This is the good one.
And if you read the other one he did was John Romita Jr. artwork.
Yeah, but this.
What the hell?
I just got it because it was a Sentry book and I liked the character. Little did I know. It's like,
yep, what's her name?
Yeah, I don't even know her name at that point. And I'm like,
okay, can I do you? Here's an obscure Hulk run.
What's that? Oh, Donny Cates. Oh, is that the Spaceship Hulk one?
I actually liked it.
It was weird.
It was weird.
And then here's one that started good but went really mediocre real fast. Jason Aaron's Hulk run.
Oh, it fell off. It fell off hard.
This was the one where Bruce and Hulk were separated, and then Bruce became a bigger monster.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the Mark Waid run, which is based Indestructible Hulk, where Bruce decided, you know, I've made a promise to myself. If I reach a certain point where I cannot figure out, I'm going to give up trying to cure Hulk. And instead, I'm going to actually work to use my science to better humanity, and while at the same time use the Hulk as, if you need me to the Hulk to be a gun, point me in a direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Jerry Duggan coming on, which had a great bit here that during Original Sin with turns out, guess who was actually involved with a bit of Hulk's origin?
Who?
Tony.
Okay.
But we then find out, now this only works with the sliding time scale of things having email. This is the only way it works, because it was later revealed that turns out, now as far as Hulk things, Bruce basically went inside, meddled around with the gamma bomb while he was drunk, but it turned out his meddling ended up making the bomb less lethal. That's fine, but turned out there's more to it that Bruce could never tell. Tony could never tell Bruce, and that is he actually emailed Bruce. But Bruce had blocked him by this point, and he would have told him, yeah, if you do this and things go out of hand, you can create a monster.
Yeah. And by the way,
but he knows that if Bruce found out about that, he would blame himself forever.
But Random brings up a good point. Do you people do people know about Black Widow comics or Comic Obscure? Black Widow.
She was more of a spy thriller title for the longest time.
Ties That Bind by Kelly Thompson. Ironically, Kelly Thompson. Again, it's another one of the. It's another amazing Kelly Thompson comic. I'll grab it because I have it here. It's really good.
Hits and misses with Kelly Thompson. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's really bad.
I gotta say though, the Gary Duggan run when he became the Doctor, the Omega Hulk. That's a case of let's put the toys back into the toy box where they got rid of a lot of the Hulk they built up.
Anyway, here is this. So
this
is really ridiculous. This is when a bunch of bad guys kidnap Natasha to take her off the board, and they put her in a life that she's always wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, then I love the way this is set up because it's like Clint is watching on TV and he sees her walk in front of the TV, and then he texts Bucky Barnes, and Bucky's like, I'm busy. He sends him a picture and he goes 3, 2, 1. Yes, that's her. By the way, I want to read the new Thunderbolts book because they put them back together.
By the way, okay, here's the question. When you think Mark Millar and Wolverine, what do you usually think about?
Mark Millar and Wolverine, Old Man Logan.
Oh, yeah.
But there was an arc beforehand that I loved. I think they had more recognition.
Nice.
Is that the one where he hunts down all the Marvel characters?
Yep.
Yeah.
But the only downside is, Elder gave us the Gorgon, but then the downside is, though, it totally cut Stukov.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully, Hickman was able to reverse that. But also another Mark Millar book I love, Marvel Knight Spider-Man.
There you go.
a great. This is one of those must. If you need someone to give an early Spider-Man book, give them this.
Yeah.
JJheat, would you agree with that?
I agree.
This is one of those ones where it's 12 issues of awesomeness, even though it's also Mark Millar basically, people jokingly call this Batman and Spider-Man shush.
My favorite Mark Millar book.
Did you get the joke?
Yeah.
They call it Batman shush because it's pretty much Spidey's equivalent of Spidey shush. I mean, it's basically Spidey's equivalent of hush.
My favorite.
Williams didn't make a shush of his own, who was like Elliot's sidekick or something.
Yeah, it was like a teacher, a student of his. My favorite Mark Millar book is Red Sun by Random Op 4 says, "Are there any well-known Inhumans comics?"
Paul Jenkins.
Paul Jenkins. That's all you got to read. There you go. Just
don't bother reading anything.
Death of the Inhumans by Kate.
Or the Senti graphic novel.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's one.
Yep. Oh, here's another one that's not obscure, but I still love. Hold on. Cable and Deadpool.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Look, I got them all.
And so a while back, a buddy of mine sold me a bunch of his comics. It's like where I got a bunch of the Blackest Night trades. But he sold me like most of the run of Deadpool Spider-Man.
Nice.
That was good.
I got the hardcover with the Joe Kelly stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, if you ever want to recommend Eternal someone, just give them Gaiman stuff. Gaiman might be a scumbag, but it's definitely the best thing you can give someone.
Yeah, it's the most simple thing. Captain Marvel. Go with the Ms. Marvel years. That will give you a good Carol Danvers story.
If you want a good Captain Marvel run, I got something even better.
All right. No, but if you're talking about Carol, go with Ms. Marvel. I'll get that. Go with like this era of Carol. JJheat.
I agree. Miss Marvel.
The Brian Reed run. This is the best run, and this is why I'm like, she is a fantastic character. Go with this for Ms. Marvel. This is what you need. And then Robert's got his. There you go, Marvel. There you go.
No, not Marvel. Janice Val.
Oh yeah.
I just realized the ultimate obscure run.
And the other thing is this: Ms. Marvel by Claremont. It was her first appearance as a superhero. That was pretty cool. I like that one.
I guess I'm the only one in the panel right now.
No, it's all good. I got you, JJheat. What's up, Robert? What else you got?
First of all, I got two from the same era. First,
okay,
that's a good
Brown
run.
Batgirl.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good run.
And two great runs for in it.
Okay, there you go. That's a good one.
And Fabian Nicieza said his Robin run was one of the best runs he's ever worked on. This is in his top 3.
Mm-hmm.
His Red Robin stuff.
That's some good stuff. I like that.
Then also, because of the movie out.
Yep. Thunderbolts. Yep. There you go. There you go. But anyway, so let's see.
Oh no, he didn't sign the first. Obviously, he didn't sign. Fabian didn't sign the first one because he didn't write anything in the first one.
Yeah, Fantastic Four obscure. I don't know.
Tom DeFalco's run.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
DeFalco's run definitely will fall under obscure.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where you had Ben wearing the mask. That's where you had Sue with the boob windows. Where you see her cleavage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Although I will say a grand run, Mark Waid's run.
I'll give you that. Yeah. But I think that's a good place to leave it. This is a lot of great runs and information.
Great stuff. Anyway. Great conversation.
But anyway, so JJheat, where can we find you? What have you got coming on your channel?
You can find me at JJheat75 or JJheat Plays. We're on the road to 300 subscribers. We're currently at 298 now, so almost there. Hopefully we can get 300 before the end of the year. Also, I do gaming reviews, playthroughs, Mass Effect, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, New Direction Verse, which you've also already known. Again, I'm just trying to find a right date. Jared, I will send you the manuscript for Heroes in Crisis, New Direction versus Heroes in Crisis moment within the next few days.
No problem.
But yes, we're still planning on that. And I also do anime reviews. So if you just want something to kick back, background noise, or just chill, just like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for having me.
All right, how about you, Robert?
I'm doing pretty well on my Pro Teachers Noob. I'm coming up on the 550th lesson soon, which I'm shooting for Tuesday. And yep, and yeah, that's pretty much what I'm up to right now.
As for me, tomorrow we're going to be reviewing the Assassin's Creed movie, and then in terms of Super Wonder Legacy, Britt and I are going to be comparing Superman, Wonder Woman to Green Arrow, Black Canary. Also talk about another character Tom King has destroyed, and I have Amazon Answers, my Wonder Woman Q&A, Wonder Woman Wednesday. There's plenty of great content coming out. But anyway, everyone, stay heroic. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod. Steve Trevor, Steve Never. He belongs 6 feet in the ground. Zois the Max about for life. I will see you later. Bye-bye.